Hi. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you guys again, over the broadcast. It's Sherry, and I want to do our usual. Welcome you. Thanks so much for stopping in. Whenever you view this video, if you view it, it's December 31st of 2018. Let me adjust this. So we are cruising into the new year. Exciting, huh? Yeah. So, well, I always show you guys my shirt. I've been on like a t-shirt kick lately. They're comfortable, but they're freezing here in Wisconsin in the winter. I kind of get cold easily. Anyways, I digress. Here's the shirt. I'm not showing you my breasts. I'm showing you the Milwaukee. There we are, Wisconsin. MKE. Stands for Milwaukee. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And the other stuff. But anywho, I digress. Welcome. How you guys been? Good? How's your week? How's your life? It's good, huh? Everything's pretty smooth, more or less. Let's see. So if you haven't seen my videos before, I'm going to be looking at my notes a little bit, and they're here to my left side. So if that annoys you, probably want to turn the channel now. Life's too short to waste on boring YouTubes, but mine are not boring, I assure you. Because why? What do I have? I have free information, extra free information. But yeah, before we get into that, I want to know how you guys are doing. I hope everything is good. My week over here has been a little rough, as usual. I'm not going to complain. I think, you have to find solutions to things instead of complaining. And I complain a lot. I'm not going to complain on the video. I'll complain later. I'm looking at my teeth here, and long story, but I worked at a mental hospital one time, a psychiatric facility, and that's how that happened. And that was right the year before I was the year that I was supposed to graduate, actually. Long story, but yeah, teeth are expensive. So try to take care of them and try not to lose any in battle, But yeah, so all right, so I've been good. The week has been a little rough. I can't really get into it right now, specifics, but really rough. But our videos tonight are going to be really good, so never mind that. We're moving forward. Now, I promised you to deliver, and that I would give you like one video a week. So I kept to my promise, right? This is, we're doing it. So just wanted to, to reiterate that I did that. For you guys and to be consistent. But moving forward with doing the book reviews that we're doing, or summarizing the books like I've been doing, I'm going to slow it down a little bit for the new year. I have to, as far as book reviews go, because in order to review a book, I have to read it first. And that takes a little time, and then to like break down each chapter and summarize it. But I think the more I do them, the better I'll get and the more efficient I'll get. And, if you guys have any feedback, or books that you would like me, or, ideas for me that you'd like to see me review, and maybe you don't have the time or whatever, and I do, let me know. Maybe I'll be willing to do that. Okay? So, you know the drill. Hit like and comment in the comment box if you have comments or suggestions or want me to see something. Hit that like button and subscribe. Yeah, do it. Come on. It's fun. It's good information. It's free information, and you will benefit from it, honestly. So yeah, let's see what else here. Yeah, moving forward in January, I'm going to do some more videos on mind control advanced technology, because I think that is so very important, and so very important. So there's so much to talk about. There's so much being done, and there's so much you don't know about, you're really going to benefit from knowing that it exists, for one. So stay tuned. That's more coming up, throughout the year. And then also, let's see. Well, I have a surprise thing that I'm going to do. I'll talk about that later. This should be kind of interesting. We'll see. Nothing too fancy, but just a little. I won't reveal it yet. So, yeah. I guess if anyone doesn't like this station, this YouTube that you're watching, I invite you to leave, please, don't waste your time. Life is too short to watch boring YouTube videos. Like I said, I'm assuming everybody that watches it likes it. I mean, if you're sitting here and spending your time, welcome. I enjoy having you, and I welcome your feedback too, if you have any, or comments. Maybe you have information for me, or questions too. Don't be afraid to, I'm always hesitant about that in YouTube. I'm like, do these people even read their questions? I promise I'll get back to you. Might not be right away, but I will get back to you. Okay. So if you have any questions, let me know. It's a serious subject matter sometimes. So, if you have questions, ask. Yeah. So, all right. I'm here to give a message, sort of like a public service message, kind of. A lot of it's on mind control technology. So, yeah. I look forward to doing more of these videos. But with no further ado, let's get to it, huh? Oh, and you guys too. Well, I'll tell you that at the end. All right, let's get to it. So, extra, free information. And what are we talking about tonight? For those of you who haven't seen this series yet, I am summarizing a book. It's called Guinea Pigs by, let me fix this a little bit. Yeah, Guinea Pigs by Dr. John Hall. It's a book about non-consensual human experimentation that is done on random people chosen. So lots of people and lots of experiments, and a lot of it focused on mind control, because like I told you guys, it's not your outer. And as you get older, I think you'll realize that more. Well, people get it. It's really your personality, and that's all housed up here. That is the brain, and it's so wonderful. Even like I work with elderly people, and elderly people, when you get older, you lose your beauty a little bit. Men and women, you get old, your body's dying, but the brain just stays. It's you. No matter how old you get, like your brain is your personality, is your your consciousness, your portal to the world that God so graciously bestowed us with. So it's amazing. It's just amazing. No wonder they're so after it. It's a hot commodity. All right. Okay, so I did a key points thing, so I'd like you guys to be able to follow along a little bit, and I have pictures, visuals, you know that I do. It kind of keeps these videos a little bit more interesting. Otherwise, it's just me talking, blah, 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 blah. And I know that can get kind of boring and hard to follow. So I have visuals, okay? I made sure. And I also have the key points. So I'd like to show you the key points. A couple of pages here. They're bulleted. So remember, we're reviewing Chapter 6 on the book Guinea Pigs by Dr. John Hall. And Chapter 6 is really interesting because it's about a phenomenon called organized stalking. Or you've heard of stalking, I know, and January is National Stalking Awareness Month, so this is right on time. It's not a pleasant subject, but it exists, obviously. So let's talk about it and find solutions and keep each other safe, huh? So organized stalking, though, this is a different type of stalking. I think you'll be surprised at how big a phenomenon it is and how not talked about enough that it truly is. Because if it happens to you, trust me, you'll know, and you'll want to know about it, how it works and what it's all about, because it can be very intimidating. I mean, being stalked by anybody is intimidating. But you'll see organized stalking is a different type. It's still stalking. I'll explain, okay? So the whole chapter 6 by, in Guinea Pigs is organized stalking. Remember, the book is Guinea Pigs, Non-Consensual Experimentation, where we talked about the history of how that started back in, after World War II. We talked about the methods of doing mind control, making mind control slaves out of people using, psychological techniques and, satanic-based ritual abuse and regular ritual abuse, and then also using technology to create a mind control slave. So that's what the book, I'm still holding, that's what the book covered so far in the other chapters, and then specific technology, remote neural monitoring, that's what we covered in Chapter 4, and that's the ability, we'll go back and look at that video. I'll cover it a little bit, we'll talk about it, but, so anyways, we're all the way up to Chapter 6, and I'm just doing Chapter 6 and 8, and then we are done with this, for now, okay? And it's because I think these are the main chapters. I suggest you read the book, though. You'll get a lot out of it. Okay, with no further ado, here is the bulleted points that we're going to cover in this video. All right, we're at 10 minutes. Thank you for being patient. Okay, so Guinea Pig, key points, Chapter 6, organized stalking. All right, so we got your regular stalking and statistics, you know, because when we all hear the word stalking, we think of the regular stalking. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the risks to becoming a victim with regular stalking, the effects on victims of regular stalking. Then we're going to talk about, like I said, what is the phenomenon called organized stalking? You know, what is that? What it is a group of people at all levels of the pyramid harassing and stalking you in an organized fashion for various reasons. And that's the power hierarchy pyramid I'm referring to when you hear me say pyramid, okay? So they're stalking you in an organized fashion for various reasons. But one of the main ones, and one of the well-funded ones, is for training, research, and development, which you guys have heard me say before in other videos. Training, research, and development done by usually the military-industrial complex, and then also, you know, like different corporations, medical, you know, research. Training, development, and research. Researching and training and developing what? Mind control for the... Whose minds? Ours. Our minds. All of us. Okay? So it's important. You have a mind, I have a mind. We don't want them controlled. Okay? As much as possible. So yeah, we're going to talk about that. Training, research, and development. That's why a lot of this organized stalking is actually done. That's how it's funded, because big money goes into this. Okay? You'll find out. Who is doing it? Who has this big money? Who's doing all this? Well, perpetrators, nicknamed perps, you know? Perpetrators, perps. We'll go into it in more detail. What is their goal? What on God's green earth are they trying to accomplish? Well, mind control on a mass scale. Okay? And this lighting is so weird in here. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. Don't want you to see my... Yeah, okay. There we go. That's better. Thanks for being patient. This is like weird for some reason. That's better? Okay, that's better. There we go. Okay, oh, because I showed you my shirt before. Okay, so that bullet pointed list here, you guys got what we're covering? Excuse me? All right, then we'll talk about some of the actual tactics used, okay, in, you know, as far as organized stalking. There's a list of things, and then there also, it ends up turning into sexual targeting. That's the very, very scary part about this program, about this phenomenon, is that it usually 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, but the high percentage of the time, especially with the female targets, not that male targets are not sexually assaulted, because they are. In any case, most times, many times, and I would know, it ends up in sexual targeting, okay? Rapes and assaults against your will, non-consensually. All right, and then also PsyOps. That's we'll talk about that term and what that means. And then we'll talk about the FBI program called COINTELPRO. That's a acronym for Counterintelligence Program. Okay, and we'll get into that. I'll explain what that is. Counterintelligence. That's where this organized stalking phenomena has its roots. Okay, and it's also nicknamed, or they refer to it as managed aggression. Okay, managed aggression. We'll get into it. I'll explain why. But that's one of the terms. So if you can think of it, imagine, why would they call aggression managed? Who's managing it? The perps at the higher levels are managing the aggression of the lower level perps against the targets. Okay. Not very nice. So we'll talk about that in detail. The history of the old counterintelligence program, the tactics that they used, famous targets. You'll be surprised to hear some well, you won't be surprised, right? Famous people usually are targeted. But we'll cover some of that. What else? Oh, and the church committee hearings that were held in regards to this program that was being run. They actually had a whole breakdown of it and trying to figure out if it was wrong or right, if they should continue it, what was actually being done. We'll talk about that a little bit. I'll give you some history from courtesy of Dr. John Hall from the book. You can also do your own research and find some of that out. And I encourage you, if that interests you. It's an interesting subject for sure. And then last but not least, getting help and the known barriers to getting help for this organized stalking phenomenon. Because it's so well funded, and as you'll find out, because it's so well spread out and organized, it is hard to tackle. It is hard, but not impossible. Okay, like the Apostle Paul said, we're hard pressed, we're cramped, you know, in every way, but we are not stopped. I'm paraphrasing it, obviously, but, you know, in the New Testament, he was just saying, you know, we're up against some really hard times, but we're still not beat. I should have printed that now that I think of it. Okay, next time. But yeah, Apostle Paul said a lot of important things. Alrighty. So, all right, so we said January is National Stalking Awareness Month. Okay, not that you want to bring in the new year on this type of thing, but hey, we got to be safe and we have to be realistic here, right? So obviously this happens because they're making an awareness of it. So, and it does happen. Unfortunately, it happens. Well, we're so interesting, you know, we're humans. People just, you know, get beside themselves and just want to stalk. Okay, they want access to those brains. All right. With stalking, there is a thing called, oh shoot, hang on guys. Hold on. All right. Oh yes. Okay. So with I'm going to talk about some statistics real quick here. With stalking, complaints of them, and they were legitimate enough to be included in the study. They were up from the previous survey. Well, hang on a second. Okay. Oh, here's what it was. It was organized stalking in January 2008, which was the U.S. Department of Justice, DOJ. They published in one of their surveys. Their survey is called Stalking Victimization in the United States. Okay, and it says complaints of stalking, legitimate enough to be included in the study, were up exponentially from the previous survey done in 1996. So this was from 96, and then in 2008, so an estimated it's going to be statistics just for like a good 5 minutes. So an estimated 3.4 million people were victims of stalking, while another 2.4 million victims were victims of harassment. So stalking and harassment. 3.4 were stalked, 2.4 were harassed. So the study defines stalking as a course of conduct directed at a specific person that would cause a reasonable person to feel fear. Okay, so serious. In most cases, stalking and harassment go together in tandem, or one can lead to the other very easily. Obviously, if you're harassing somebody, you might get yourself worked up to the point where you would start stalking them, or vice versa. If you're stalking somebody, you might just get bold enough and start, harassing them in their face, instead of from afar, whatnot. So they're closely, one can't have one without the other. Stalking. I laugh, but it's a very serious subject, but they go together. Okay. So in the people that were targeted, they reported suffering electronic monitoring. Okay, so computer stuff, electronics, so spyware on devices, bugging of their homes, because it's very easily done now. A camera can be the size of your fingernail, so I mean, honestly, you could put that thing anywhere, if you have the know-how. So that, and also video surveillance, probably with the bugging. I mean, you can put also like microphones and recording devices. You can put, recording devices and video surveillance, so you can see what the target is seeing and hear what they're hearing with these bugging devices. That's what they're saying that these victims complained of. Okay. So while many of the victims were stalked by somebody they were acquainted with, 1 in 10 victims was actually stalked and harassed by people unknown to them. So that's interesting, right? Usually you think you'd have to know somebody for them to have an interest enough to stalk you in the first place. Apparently not. So the risk factors of the people stalked and some of the stalking effects on the victims. We want to talk about that. So the risk factors, here's what can put you at risk, okay? So there was a study published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine in 2006 that found that 7 million women and 2 million men in the United States have been stalked. That's a lot. 7 million women and 2 million men. That is a lot of people. Higher risk individuals are single people in general, both male and female. Okay, so those are people who are never been married, separated, widowed, divorced, or experienced single people, they experience significantly higher rates of stalking than did those who were living with a partner. Okay, that's just because it's easier to stalk somebody that's alone. You're more of a target, just like in the animal kingdom. Very scary, because nowadays, sometimes you might want to be single. You're waiting for the right one. Excuse me. You're waiting for the right person. You're busy with school, for those of you who are younger, whatever age, you're not ready to quite settle down yet. You have a very specific parameters that you're looking within, and that's your business. Or maybe you just haven't, you haven't found the right one. You haven't found, maybe you're Christian, looking for another Christian, a man that worships God. Maybe you're looking for a man of a certain height, or whatever, a woman of a, maybe it's a cultural thing. You need to marry somebody of your own religion, whatnot. So, we've always been able, I think we've been led to believe that we can be single and it can be relatively safe. But just be careful, because that does raise your risk for being stalked, is being single. Not that you can help it, but be aware of it, okay? And be aware of maybe mentioning it to people. Sometimes people ask, you're single, you got a boyfriend, you got a husband. Maybe just sometimes, I don't know, maybe tell a little, maybe, for safety. You'd be like, yeah, I got a husband. Something like that. Anyway, so that's a risk factor. And the author of this book would know that, because his girlfriend at the time was stalked and raped in her own home by the people that were targeting him. And she wasn't single, obviously, because he was her boyfriend, but for some reason, she kept her own separate condo home, instead of moving in together, because I guess they weren't married yet, whatever. So, okay, and the effects of stalking. People, as you can imagine, being stalked is a stressor, right? It's somebody, stalking you like an animal. So people who are stalked, both male and female, started showing symptoms of impaired health. Surprise, surprise, right? They had depression and injury and were more likely to engage in substance abuse than their peers. Okay? I'm thinking many times they get stressed out, so they turn to substance abuse, right? Life full of stress, you're getting stalked, and then you use a little substance, to ease your nerves, to take you, to calm it down a little bit, relax. And be careful, because it can turn into, a substance abuse problem. Then you got another problem on top of your stalking problem. So approximately 130,000 victims reported that they were fired. This was interesting. These are the effects of stalking. 130,000 victims reported that they were fired or asked to leave their jobs because of the stalking. So, this is and as you'll find out with the organized stalking, that's what we're going to get into. That's what I said, and that's what we're going to get into. So let's get to that right away, because that's a little bit different than regular stalking. Same, but different, okay? So organized stalking, what is it? It is, I wanted to show you this too. Well, we'll hold off on that. Okay, organized stalking. I'll show you, okay, the definition. Alrighty. Okay, so it says organized stalking is a form of terrorism used against an individual in a malicious attempt to reduce the quality of a person's life. So they will have a nervous breakdown, become incarcerated, institutionalized, experience constant mental, emotional, or physical pain, become homeless, and or commit suicide. Yes, in organized stalking, because it's a little different how it's run, that is the end goal. There's a goal. Now remember, it's for training, research, and development. But the end goal, many times, is for the target to, commit suicide because their life is so stressed out, or, be suicided. I think you know what that means. I'm not going to get into it, okay? Led to suicide is what I'm saying, or have an accident, an untimely one. You're in perfect health and all of a sudden something odd happens, and, that kind of stuff. So why? What's going on? Organized stalking. It is severe. It is a severe and dangerous harassment on a community and global level that can lead to serious sexual assault, okay? And deaths, like I said, deaths of people involved, either directly or indirectly caused by the program, and I'll get into that later. Obviously, it can cause you to commit suicide, depending on some people. Some people, people are different. People have different stressors. People have different triggers. what one person can handle, maybe another person cannot as easily due to their makeup or their, you know, but that's why I'm doing these videos. You know, you got to be resilient, and you have to, you know, be aware of this. I mean, I think being aware is half of the problem, is half of the battle, you know, because once you're aware, that takes away that confusion and that, you know, there's comfort in at least knowing, right? Okay, so let's continue. So what I'm trying to do is bring you some comfort here. Organized stalking, harassment of an individual by people unknown to them for the sole purpose of inducing psychological trauma to an individual that they deemed to be a target. Okay? It is done by many individuals in the community, many working in tandem with each other to achieve a desired goal, and is centrally directed and organized. Oh yeah, this isn't your cousins or your ex-boyfriend by themselves. Just, you know, I'm gonna go right past their house or something like that. This is organized on a grand scale, okay, and centrally directed and organized. Okay, this is people with, well, let's get into it. It's organized stalking. It's not just a one-on-one. It is the community is involved in on it. Okay, almost like a mob. Well, not like a mob, like a mob mentality. So, because remember now, the community covers every aspect of your life. You know, your social and your secular. So when you're at home, when you're at work, when you're, you know, all types of businesses, institutions, not limited to, you know, all the stores, schools, hospitals, jails, beauty salons, you know, nail shops, whatever, and your friend and your neighbors and your family and your friends. So everything is meant when you're when you're stalked in organized fashion, they bring in everybody. Okay, and I'll tell you how. I just wanted to mention too that trauma-based conditioning, if you remember, is a program that's used to facilitate mind control on a mass scale. We covered that in the other videos, how trauma-based conditioning is very important to producing a multiple personality in a person, so you can make them a mind control slave, right? Because you'll have their alter personality doing things. And it's actual real thing that they've been practicing and perfected. That's how they create things like Manchurian candidates, who will go and, you know, kill for others and not have any memory of it and not realize that they actually did it because their alter personality did it. If you're like me, I used to think that was a bunch of horsewat. I'm like, you know what? No, you just don't want to admit it. You know what you did. But I mean, the way that it's done and everything, and creating multiple personalities, it's a real thing. And it's because it operates off the brain's natural disassociation to if trauma is happening to you, your brain will disassociate to move away from it to make it more manageable, so that the body and mind don't go into shock and die physically. Right? Because if you go into shock, you can make yourself have cardiac arrest, and you know, you can make yourself have a split in your, you know, your mind has to be able to you know, accommodate it, and your body. Otherwise, your mind will freak out your body, and your body will have a stroke or cardiac arrest. So you don't want that. So the brain says, "Oh, disassociate. Well, this is happening to somebody else." We covered that, but we can cover that again. But anyways, the main point of that is the trauma-based conditioning, and that's what this organized stalking program is doing. And it's doing it to the target. Okay, I want to show you something. Hold on. Just another visual. Okay. Yeah, Target. Not your fun shopping store either. Different kind of Target. But anyways, yeah, so what ends up happening is the target of the program, whoever's picked, you know, to be harassed and stalked, they're experiencing trauma-based conditioning on a large scale, you know, because you're being stalked. And not only by one person that you can name, you know, you got a lot of people in the community in on it. I'll explain how that happens. It's based on the pyramid and the money, of course. But yeah, so it's very traumatic, because you're basically being abused right in plain sight. And everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people are in on it. And because it's so organized, they know how to do it to make you feel traumatized by it. You know, there's all different tactics that they have. Boxing you in, you know, they'll make sure they'll send, you know, if you're sitting somewhere, they'll make sure they send perps. It's called creating the box. They'll have perps on each side of you, you know, to your north, to your south, to your east, and to your west, so that you literally, and then they're, you know, you're in a box. Not physically, but mentally. They let you know. We can go into specifics of the program. They have some interesting tactics, and military uses, their military tactics, how to use on the enemy. Because remember, when you're a target, you're now the enemy. And a lot of times for no particular good reason. What I'm trying to bring out is this is an extension of mind control programming, because it causes trauma in the target, okay, whoever the target is, and then it causes trauma also to the people that are perpetrating it. Not the sociopaths, because sociopaths actually enjoy this. This is probably like their favorite thing to do in the world, is go, harass and stalk somebody. But for regular people, even if it's your job, like even soldiers when they go to war, not the sociopath ones, but the regular ones, it hurts them to have to inflict pain or, even, kill someone. That's why they come home so many times and, you hear PTSD. Well, that's what this program also is creating, because you're harassing one person, you're organized stalking a target, and then everybody who has to, who's in on it, okay, they are also being trauma-based conditioning, having to abuse when they don't necessarily maybe want to. And that's also a big factor in satanic ritual abuse, and also all kinds of abuse, is you make somebody either watch you abuse somebody, or somebody makes you abuse somebody else, so then you have guilt from that. Again, for sociopaths, they don't, but that's a small percentage of society. So, but most people feel bad when you hurt somebody or, stuff like that. So anyways, organized stalking. That's what that is. I'm going to keep that out so we can refer to that. Some tactics that they use when they're organized stalking. I made a list of 7 things here. What will happen is they'll follow the targeted person around 24/7. Okay, 365 days a week. I know they do. Even when you travel. One of the ways that they can do this is GPS, right? Global Positioning System. Those satellites are everywhere. They can, in our phones, those are tracking devices. They're wonderful. I love mine. But it's a tracking device. So wherever I go, my phone goes. And, when you're a target, then your perpetrators also have access to your whereabouts. That's one of the ways. There's many other ways, but that's one. We'll just stick with that one. Another tactic is that they loiter around your home or the businesses that you frequent. So what this means is that you'll be at home, say, and you have neighbors. Whenever you get ready to leave, say for instance, they have an enter-exit strategy. For all of a sudden when you leave or when you enter, they are right there, leaving and entering with you. Okay, that doesn't sound bad if it happens, because that happens sometimes, just coincidentally. Oh, hey, hi. But when it happens consistently, and I'm talking consistent, they don't miss a beat, they don't miss a day. Even if you leave, say you have to go use the bathroom, they will be right there. All of a sudden they have to use the bathroom. Same time, you go to cook something, oh, they're there. And I'm talking consistently, okay? Because that's trauma-based conditioning. They're trying to condition you to be stressed. Right? Because normal people, you don't care, oh, you're doing this at the same, but then every time as humans, it starts, you're like, whoa, because then you realize, well, you're stalking me. And they're letting you know it without letting you know it, right? It's an intimidation tactic. I'm here when you're here. You don't get time alone. You get no privacy. I'm watching you. That's what the message is. So the third one is things they'll break into a target's home, and usually to vandalize it, and then they rummage through your things. They rarely steal actual things. They just want you to feel violated that they've been through your stuff, so they'll leave like little coins, that you didn't have there, like a penny. All of a sudden a penny will be somewhere that you didn't leave there, or just stuff out of place that you know when somebody's been through your stuff. And it's that thing again, it's an intimidation. They're stalking you, right? So they want to let you know, I was through your stuff, I touched all in your stuff, you have no privacy, I just violated you, is what that is. Okay, so number 4, they will also harass the victim with profanity or vulgar gestures while you're in public. Okay, so they will make comments like extreme sexuality for some reason in this program, and it makes sense because when I get to the pyramid part and you find out who's running it, they're very much a sex-related, I heard a preacher say once, they're a Babylonian sex cult. They are. They talk, and the reason I say this is because many secret societies and cults and satanic worshiping sects, they focus very much on sex, okay, and not necessarily the normal sex. It's always has to be a depravity with it, and they almost to the point where they worship it, like a male's penis is called a phallic, so they like, they love that phallics, and it revolves very much around inappropriate sexual content, so not pleasant sex with a spouse, or they'll make it dirty or depraved, something, whatever to make it unpleasant, okay? So like, and I'm telling you, this is how it works in this program. They will harass you with profanity or vulgar gestures right in public, and sometimes it's funny because when they do it, it's something only you would know. Like maybe they'll make slurping sounds, right? Nobody sitting next to you would think that that's a thing, right? If they're not being targeted. But if you know that they've referred to, oh, I'd like you to, do this, give me an oral sex, and then all of a sudden they're, that's like very odd, but this is a crazy program. I don't make it up. I just letting you know about it, okay? Don't shoot the messenger. But yeah, very much sex cultish, very obsessed with depravity and whatnot. Okay, so number 5, they will do character assassination of the victim through spreading rumors about them to their neighbors and or employers. Anybody who has ears, they will slander your name to the sky, okay? They, what else here? They do things, hold on. Got some, oh, here's my illustration. Oh, yeah. Trauma-based conditioning. I just wanted to make sure that we, that's what we're talking about here. Organized stalking. Okay, it's done on a community level, and it's done by perps, and their goal, it's an extension of a mind control program. They want to traumatize the targeted person, okay, at any cost, and using these tactics, and they use other people in the community that belong to certain organizations or people that they have gotten to sign up for these programs. I'll explain later how you become a perpetrator. But yeah, so they do that. It's basically, and it's trauma-based conditioning, harassing and stalking of a person. But instead of just one person doing it, you got a whole group of people in on it. Very, very stressful, very traumatizing. Yeah, as the name says. Okay, so character assassination, they will do that. Number 6, damage to a victim's vehicles and or personal property. Okay, so this is things like flat tires, on a continual basis. Say if you park in your garage, like I did one time, there's no reason for you to have a flat tire, right? You get it replaced, you got a brand new one, brand spanking new. It's summertime, you're not riding over potholes, the streets are pretty good in your neighborhood, everything's great. All of a sudden, you keep getting flat tires. Okay, no biggie the first time. Then you have to get it done again a couple of weeks later. Whoa, again? Okay, well, that was odd. But odd things happen. But this will be continuous, like 3 tires in 6 months. That's getting a little bit excessive because it's being done on purpose. So that's a tactic. Also, one of the first signs that people notice when you first begin getting targeted is that you'll have loud noises bombarding the target at all times. When you're at home or work. And it's really odd because you'll notice like they'll be doing lawn work like late into the evening when there's not even like any sun out, where it's just random things like a lawnmower running or fireworks going off. All of a sudden it's not close to 4th of July or any time like that. Just constant traffic where there wasn't before. Bombarding. Bombarding. We covered that before. That's like a sensory. You said when you're trying to traumatize somebody in producing mind control slaves, you can have sensory management. That is where you either overload the senses, and senses again are sight, hearing, touch, taste, those things. So you can either overload them, overstimulate somebody, or you can you can deprive them, so you can have a blindfold on them so they can't see. You can, cover up their ears so they can't hear. That would be sensory deprivation. Okay, but in this case, when you're being bombarded with noises, that's sensory overstimulation. Because as humans, we don't mind a little noise, but in general, we like a nice, normal sound, right? You don't want anything like loud trucks all the time or loud motorcycle all the time. And that's one of the tactics, because they know, and they've studied this, that causes trauma, because this is a trauma-based conditioning program. Everything to produce trauma. It's really sick, but It's what it is. And so is normal stalking. The person wants to cause you trauma, so they're harassing you and they're stalking you. They're not wishing you well. They want to traumatize you, hurt you. All right. So last thing is, and this is really sad, but this happens, and this is one of the most, I guess, effective things that they do, and one of the sickest too, is that they turn friends, family, and neighbors against the targeted person. Okay, so just when you need your friends and family the most, because remember, they're out there spreading rumors. Okay, that's definitely a part of it. They are making sure everyone who has ears, and they got people, perps. Remember, this is organized, so it's not just one person. One person has kind of a limit to how many people they can tell. But when you have a community doing it, people in the community, I'm sorry, at every facet, at stores, at banks, at schools, at hospitals, at jails, at, church, you got that one person in church, you got 10 people, 8 of them are good, but then you got those 2 that are in that connection, that network, and that'll be the 2 to get it started. And there your name is slandered. So during the time when you would need your support system the most, right, when you're going through all this, that's when the perpetrators will often enlist the help of victims' neighbors, especially the neighbors. They love because they want to harass you at home. They want to make sure. Most people see our home as our castle, like our place to come and relax, right? We're busy in the community. We're walking, we're talking. You kind of have to be on, right? You can't walk around all dull. I mean, you can, but, you want to have somewhat of a, you're engaged. So when you get home, you want to kind of tone it down a little, right? You need your private time. Even Jesus in the Bible talked about needing, private time. Remember, he would go away for a little while and relax, because that's normal. Humans need that. But they want to make sure in this program, remember, it's trauma. They want to make sure you don't get that chance to relax, okay? Because that's going to keep you in a heightened state. Because remember, they want to traumatize you. They don't want you relaxing. So what they'll do to make sure that they can harass you at home is enlist the help of your neighbors. Oh, yes. Okay. How do they do this? They convince them that they are some legitimate form of law enforcement. They will lie. I know you're like, who's they? We're going to cover they. Okay. The next one. I got the pyramid all ready for you. But so they will convince them that they are legitimate form of law enforcement. In several instances, with Mr. Hall's experience, perps have produced false FBI credentials. So all in order to convince the neighbor that they are, oh, the battery's low. Hold on, guys. Pause that, okay? Neighbors. The perps are pretending to be legitimate in law enforcement agencies like the FBI. They're not, but they even have fake badges sometimes. So hold on. Okay. Okay, hi. All right, so yeah, they'll even have like fake badges and things like that, which are not hard to get. You can actually order them from the internet, I'm sure. So yeah, and then what they'll do is, because remember, this is organized, they have money. They will rent out vacant homes. This is how big this program is. Deep pockets. This is big money, okay? Because it's for training, research, and development in order to, for the most part, increase mind control, right, for the targeted person, and you got the community helping in on it. It's managed aggression. So you got everybody. You got a whole population of traumatized people, right? You got the victim traumatized. They're walking around and they're, getting stalked and harassed. And then you got the people who are told to do things and they're traumatized by doing it. Well, I don't want to hurt this person. I don't want to make these obscene noises or do these things, but they do. So yeah, so that's what it's for. But yeah, they'll do that. They'll rent out vacant homes and apartments, and they'll use that as a base to terrorize the intended target. So they do that by setting up electronic equipment, spyware and whatnot, So the stalking protocol is not actual surveillance. That's what they tell the neighbors. But it's a harassment tool to cause psychological trauma. Okay, trauma. That's what they're trying to cause. They're trying to hurt a person. It's designed to induce psychological stress, alienate the victim, isolate the victim, maintain them in a perpetual state of helplessness and a victim mentality. That's important. That's what they want to do. This is very organized. This is actually a PsyOps, what I was speaking of before, a PsyOps program. That's a military term. And that means, you know, psychological operations. They're breaking down your mind, breaking you down, breaking you down. They don't want you to be stable. I mean, think of what makes a stable, happy, healthy, peaceful person, right? Quietness, privacy, you know, a little bit of privacy. You want to be social again, but not always, you know, you don't want to be stalked and harassed, you know, with constant bombarding of your sensory system and having people, you know, gossiping about you and speaking horrible on your name. And so that they know this is what, you know, that this will cause trauma. This has been studied. This is a military tactic. Psychological operations, nicknamed PsyOps. Okay, so that's what they're doing. They're practicing PsyOps on you to break you down. Okay, because you are a target, and they got lots of money. Okay, who is they? I'm gonna tell you. Hold on. I know that's important. Yes, you do need to know who, but first you have to know what. Okay, so organized stalking and the tactics of it. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. So. And again, not all these things that I'd mentioned would be necessarily harassment in and of themselves. Of course not. You know, your tires are going to go flat. You know, you're going to have loud noises. You're going to have people entering and exiting at the same time. It's when it happens on an unprecedented scale, when it's just so much all the time and perfectly that it cannot be coincidence anymore. It ceases to be a coincidence. Then it's purposeful. And of course it is, because this organized stalking program, which is an extension of the mind control program, is being run on, you know, the targeted person. It is what it is, right? Okay, so I'm going to talk about, we talked about how to get help for it, but let's talk about the power pyramid, because I know you want to know who, right? All right, who does this? Since the stalking is done as a program run by various people in the power pyramid for different reasons, one of the main reasons we talked about, well, I'll show you. Here's our little pyramid, right? Picture this, okay? And we talked about a lot of the why was for, you know, the usual training, research, and development, right? Who's training? That's the question. Who's training, research, and developing what? Okay, well, let's see. They are testing out, like we said, technology, training, research, and development. They're testing out technology and behaviors on the mass population for eventual mass mind control on a grand scale, right? This program is called managed aggression because those at the top are managing the aggression of the perps at the bottom, you know, so they're told to do certain things in a certain way. You know, don't kill them, don't kill the woman, don't kill the man, just, you know, really shake them up, just traumatize the hell out of them is what, you know, and that trauma can many times include sexual assault, you know, because what's the biggest trauma? And as you'll find out once I tell you who's at the very top, why sex assault and why depravity is so high on the list for causing trauma, because of, you know, who's doing it. So yeah, another lingo that they use is a soft kill. Okay, so that's a military term. You got soft kill, you got hard kill. Okay, soft kill is when you stress somebody out so much or abuse them so much, they commit suicide. Okay, so technically you didn't kill them per se, okay, but you stressed them out to the point where maybe you know, you just kept on, and then they killed themselves. They're banking on that. It's a soft kill, okay? Hard kill is a straight up, you know, hard kill, right? You killed them, boom, all right? The soft kill is more you drove them to it, okay? So that's what that is. This program is also called no-touch torture, okay? So remember, they're not coming up and fighting you in your face, right? That would be too obvious. People would catch on, you know? The population would get scared. Oh my goodness, why are they fighting this woman, you know? People would complain, right? Because we're sensitive to violence as humans, right? You see people fighting, you're kind of like, oh, you know, well, hold on, do I need to stop? Do I need to help stop this, or what's going on? But so yeah, so they have to do it more covert. You know, so it's no touch torture, even though towards the end phases, when you're sexually assaulted, they obviously are touching you, but that's usually in a private setting. Obviously, they don't do it for witnesses to see, and they use mind control so that you won't be able to remember. They do things like manipulate the acetylcholine levels in your brain, which is responsible for turning thoughts into memories. They have all different ways of doing this. I mean, we're talking big money here, so they have access to a lot of things to hurt people. It's the tools of their trade, right? But we'll get into that a little bit. But yeah, so no touch torture. You drive a person to suicide because you basically lower the quality of their life, you know, a lot. You lower, you know, you have them lose careers. You have them lose relationships, you know, their loved ones, husbands and wives, causing divorces, you know, things like that. This is serious, you know, serious business. I mean, sometimes, you know, that's what happens. Sometimes if a target is you know, an issue, they will you know, do a hard kill on someone, or, you know, cause them an untimely accident or something like that. We've talked about that. That happens. And sometimes it's the result of organized stalking. Many times, you know. So yeah, this is serious business. All right. And in later stages, when the sexual assault starts happening, which is, I'm doing this video because I want you guys to really be aware. Later on, when the sexual assault starts happening, that could turn into even a trafficking situation. You know, where, you know, okay, this man or woman is unconscious, and we want to, you know, we're able to have sex with her without her having memory of it, or him. And, well, oh, everybody wants in on it, you know. I mean, not everybody, but, you know, some depraved people. And remember, this is an organized program. So the people at the top are giving, they want to see that kind of stuff, okay? Because why? Because because that's what they stand for. Their values are, these are people with access to high level technology, but low level morals. High technology, low morals. That's a really bad combination. That's real dangerous, you know, because they have the power at their hands to commit atrocities. And without the brakes of a morals, they're going to. Just plain and simple, you know. So, and the perps at the bottom, they don't necessarily want to do this, but they're taking orders. We'll explain that, all right? The power hierarchy. I feel like I need to tell you who. You're like, you're saying all this, but, you know, who's doing this? Well, let me tell you. Obviously, we talked about mind control. We've talked about the power hierarchy pyramid before, but let's talk about it again, especially in this case. Organized stalking. Usually if it's regular stalking, many times you'll know, oh, it's an ex-boyfriend, oh, it's you know, this friend who is mad at me, it's you know, this woman I worked with or whatnot, this guy I worked with, and you'll usually, a lot of times you'll know. So in this case, you want to know who's responsible for all this. Who the heck? Yeah, rabbit hole runs deep. All right, so pyramid. You've seen the pyramid. Ta-da! There it is. Nice little neat pyramid. Okay. What does who's in the pyramid, right? Just so you know, organized stalking can also be called gang stalking. And that's not because it's actual gangs doing the stalking, like a street gang. Even though they will recruit them too. I'll talk about that in the power hierarchy pyramid. But gang as in a gang of people. Okay, so organized stalking or gang stalking. I prefer the term, and so does the author of the book, organized stalking. It kind of sums it up a little bit better. Because otherwise, when you say gang, people would just always think street gangs. And that's not, you know, it's a gang of people, a group of people. But let's just call it organized stalking for now. So yeah, some of the behaviors, we talked about psyops and all that. And then another thing with this program, when all this is done, it's done so covertly that when, you know, but it's crazy making. It's crazy and it's supposed to be like that. That's what they're trying to traumatize you. So then what will happen sometimes is the target will act out. You know, because you're being stalked, you're being harassed, God forbid, you're being sexually assaulted, you know, you can't have a moment of privacy. I mean, you know, it's frightening. They're stalking you, they're harassing you. So you lash out. And a lot of times it can look really, you know, when you lash out, it's sometimes you'll notice it. And you'll notice this in regular society, this happens. You know, you see people acting out. And I don't know how you guys think, but I always, when I see somebody acting out, I think, oh, what happened? What was the precursor? Not using an excuse, but I always think that. Well, what happened? Because normal people, you know, people don't normally act like that. So when they're acting out, that's a sign that there's a problem that's triggering that behavior, right? Well, what's going on? And I would, I know this because I worked in, I work in the healthcare field. So if people have behaviors when they're behaviors, they're triggered when they, they're in a facility, or I've worked in a mental hospital, psychiatric facilities, which I worked in those. I worked in regular nursing home facilities where people were diagnosed with things like dementia, so they would have behaviors, but a lot of times their behaviors, instead of just throwing it on the diagnosis, oh, they have dementia, so they, they hit or they yell. But actually, if you dig deep, you'll find out, well, they're hitting or yelling maybe because they don't want to go to bed early, or maybe they do want to go to bed early. You're waiting to put them to bed till 9, and maybe they want to go to bed at 7. They're not feeling good. They just had a doctor's appointment, and new medication or something is making them tired. So you just got to dig deep is what I'm saying. Not even too deep. Just, think logically. Hold on. If somebody doesn't normally act like this, something is triggering that behavior. What's triggering it? Okay, and the acting out behavior, the verbiage for that, I think is ostension, but I'll look it up. I think that's the word though. Ostension. Something with an O. Ostentation, ostension, something of that nature. Okay, anyways, pyramid. Who's doing this? Who's doing this organized stalking? Okay, well, let's see. I'm just going to give it to you. I'm going to give you a pyramid that I filled out, okay? Focus. All right, ta-da. Here we go. This is my pyramid. It's not really good. Actually, it looks like a scalene triangle. I think, it's not very I tried though. I tried. I'm not the best artist and the best, I'm not the best. But you get the point, right? Okay, so let's just, okay, there you go. Top of pyramid. Who's up at the top of that pyramid? The Luciferian worshipping elite. Okay, and in a nutshell, if you're Christian, for those of us who are, and if you're not, Lucifer is the antagonist of Jehovah God, right? So you have Jehovah, you believe in him. There's angels. He created the angels, and in Jesus. And one of the angels turned, rebelled, and that's called Lucifer. So when he rebelled, he took some angels that rebelled with him, and he also has, some humans choose to worship Lucifer. And a lot of times they're high on the top of this pyramid. It's all part of the whole New World Order and the New World Order and the Luciferian worshipping elite. That's what they're called. Elite, they own a lot of stuff. I mean, these people don't just own, a house or two. They own, like, islands and, like, states and, like, big things. They own the banks that own everything. So, and I'm not saying everybody who has money or is at the top or is elite status is, worships Lucifer. However, there are some that do, and they're in important positions. So, anywho, know that. That's at the top. I don't want to have to repeat that again, okay? So, but it makes sense for everything else, right? If this is a program that's so focused on causing trauma and so just very depraved and hurtful, causing trauma, who would want to do that? Well, who do you think would want to do it? If you're a Luciferian worshiper, sure, that's what they do. That's their version of fun. All right, this video is at almost an hour. Sorry, guys. We'll only go for a half hour more. But it's interesting. Anyways, this pyramid. So at the top, you got your Luciferian worshipping elite. Right underneath them, you got your, people who own the corporations with their big, deep pockets. Again, this is not little money. This is big, big money we're talking about. Owning islands, owning, buildings, stuff like that. Big, big money. You have secret societies. I'm not going to get too much into that, but that would be things like, Freemasonry, Jesuits, secret societies. I can't tell you too much. It's a secret. No, I'm kidding. I don't know any, okay? I don't know, but I know that they exist, and they're called secret societies. That's what the SS is for, okay? And they're in this power hierarchy. Yes, they are, okay? And they're not to say that everybody, again, they're not everybody who falls in one of these categories is a perpetrator. I'm just saying there are good people who worship Jehovah on one side, and there are people who worship Lucifer on the other side, and we're all mixed in this together. But when you're trying to follow the power hierarchy, this is what we're talking about for perps, okay? So, yeah, you got your secret societies, then you got your government, right? And the government is, you got your different levels. You got your federal, you got your state, you got your local, right, which is your county and the city and all that. you know, county usually includes things like sheriff department. I think in like fire departments usually are county workers, I think. Yeah. I know sheriff's departments are. I don't know if firefighters are for sure, but many times. Anyways, that's just government. That's how it works, okay? And then also the government has the military-industrial complex, okay? That's war, you know, warfare. So all those facets, you know, that do war, they are part of this power hierarchy. Hierarchy, yes. All right, what's under them? Organized crime syndicates, right? Okay, that'd be like your mobs, your Russian mobs, your, you know, there's actually like a Jewish mob, I heard. Again, I don't, never know these people, you never know. You could have met these people and not know they're part of it. Not like they're going to tell you if you're not in the know, right? And I don't want to know. Sometimes you just don't want to know. You know, don't tell me, because then you have to kill me, and I don't want to know. I know who Jehovah is, and that's all I need to know. Okay, everything else, I'll figure it out. So this is where we're at. Organized crime syndicates are kind of here, and then under them you got like things like your local street gangs. These are just main ones that I brought out, okay? We're talking about perpetrators involved in organized stalking. So what does that mean? That means that if there is a contract for a mind control program testing to be done, and they need guinea pigs, and those guinea pigs are being stalked and organized and harassed, you know, targeted for programs, mind control programs, you know, just trauma-based mind control programming. That's who would be in on your community harassment. Okay, so you'd have, you know, you'd have people from each one. You know, who knows? The guy that owns a corporation, right? He might have a teenage daughter that you go to school with, or you know, she's your college buddy or something. You know, could be your local. I mean, I'm just being honest here. It could be your local friendly firefighter, something like that. You know, these are all, doesn't matter. It could, and at the lower levels too. Don't forget, it's not just the higher levels are in on it. Even lower levels too. You have people that, you know, join organizations like Neighborhood Block Watch and stuff like that. Or you have like people who are charged with crimes, and in order to work off their crimes, they'll be, you know, they'll be trained in these type of harassment programs to drop their charges or lower them, stuff like that, you know. So everybody that, you know, can be in on it, but this is the power hierarchy. So some of those people will definitely be in on your stalking, and also the funding comes from high up, because this is a big pocket program. They're highly funded. Okay, this isn't just your local ex-boyfriend or girlfriend or family and friend. This is a big program. All right, so just want to show you some pictures for the power hierarchy. Picture time. Who's that? Oh my goodness. You know who that is. Excellent, right? Mr. Burns, Simpsons. He is a representative of Elite. You know, I don't think he's based on a specific character, but he's just, you know, in the program, you'll notice that he owns, you know, he's a rich guy. That's usually Elite. That's a good fancy way of saying it, Elite. And yeah, and that's who's at the top of the pyramid, or, you know, right next to the top, right underneath the top. Not literally Mr. Burns, but someone like that, okay? Okay, who else is in that pyramid? Boom, you got your medical staff. What are they doing there? Look at them. They look like they're all smiling and stuff, and mostly they are. Again, this is not everybody, but when you're targeted, members from these people, right? Because you don't know. This is a surgeon guy, but that surgeon guy could be part of a secret society. How do you know? You don't know. You don't know what he does. You don't know what organizations he joined in school, fraternities and whatnot, brotherhoods, right? Same thing with the girl. She seems nice, professional. You don't know what sorority she belongs to, right? They have to make oaths and whatnot, okay? And then when there's somebody is targeted and they have to be stalked and harassed as part of their oaths, these people have to fulfill that harassment and stalking sometimes. Sometimes it'll be a simple order, something like, hey, you know, Paula, I'm just going to use the name Paula. You know, maybe she's a sorority sister. Hey, Paula, you know, we have this targeted person. They live on, you know, 8th Street. You do a favor, drive around there and honk the horn, Paula. Maybe Paula doesn't want to do it, but Paula signed an oath. Paula belongs to a sorority, sisterhood, right? Well, you know what happens when you join some of these things and you try to unjoin. Not so easy. So what's Paula going to go do? She's going to drive around that 8th Street and she's going to honk that horn. Not, you know, not wanting to hurt anybody maybe. She's just, you know, whatever she's doing. She's living life. Meanwhile, the targeted person, that's not the first horn they've heard all day. Maybe they've heard 20. Okay? Because remember, it's organized, it's constant. It's not just certain people, it's a community effort so that it happens all the time to trauma, right? Because if it was just a little bit, it wouldn't be traumatizing. Oh, well, horn, oh, well. But when it's 20 horns or 30 horns in a day, right? Then it starts producing trauma. So, and again, Paula wouldn't know that, but necessarily, maybe she would, but she's going to do it. That's organized stalking done by organizations in the pyramid, the power hierarchy in the pyramid. Who else does the stalk? Who else are the perpetrators, the perps? Some guy like this, right? What's he, like a private investigator? I don't know. This is an artist interpretation. I really don't know what it, but you get it, right? Maybe he's a private investigator. Maybe he is a, you know, an oh, I just realized he has eyes. You know what? That just kind of freaked me out. Woo, okay. Happy happy 2019. I don't get freaked out easy. It's okay. I just never realized that in the picture, and then I was looking at it on screen, and yeah, so no problems. Yeah, that could be a person that works for a private investigative agency, or it could be a person that works for one of those alphabet agencies. Alphabet agencies, I don't want to have to say it, but you understand. It's the alphabet. They usually acronyms, like FBI, you know that doesn't, you know, that stands for Federal Bureau of Investigation, right? Okay, so little acronym, they call those the alphabet agencies, or intelligence agencies, okay? And there's many different types. So, and usually we were talking about, you know, you can do fake badges and stuff when they're trying to slander you and to your neighbors. Well, yeah, they might not even be. Maybe it's a private investigator. Maybe he used to be in the FBI. Maybe he's retired now. Maybe he owns his own private investigative agency. Oh, well, he's going to flash you one of these. He knows where to get it. You know what? Look at these. These look pretty legit. You can order these. Okay? What does that have to do? Well, because that, when you're being stalked in organized fashion, they're going to pull out all the bells and whistles, those perps, too, because they're stalking you and harassing you. And they want to get to your neighbors, too, so that they can have them help stalk you and harass you, your friends and family, the people at your church, the people at your job, the people at your school. They don't want you to have a moment's peace, right? All right, so, you know, one of my favorite pictures, this sums it up. Look at this guy. He's not well, okay? Boom. He's a perp. He is a perpetrator. That's what we're talking about. That's the lower level guy. He's really sick. All right. What else? Okay. Boom. Walking Dead. Perps. Those are all perps. That's what they start looking like, when, especially when they get to the stage, if they're not really well and they've been doing it and they just, you know, can't differentiate anymore. Then they start getting really, you know, because it's not natural to stalk and harass people. So it turns them kind of animalistic, which is obviously the goal, right? If you're sitting at the top, you don't want people all getting along, do you? Because then they might go against you. No, you want them fighting. Make them fight with each other, right? Make them rabid dogs, like with, you know, animalistic. Bring out the animal in them. Because then they're more on instinct instead of thinking and you know, solving and whatnot. You know, and they're harder to control when people are thinking. When they're in the animal form, you can control people easier, right? Yeah, so this is all perpetrators work on a thing called the hive mind. I just printed up this, you know the bumblebees or the, you know, bees, and they usually work in a hive and da-da-da-da-da. So when perps get together, when they build their network, it's like they call it the hive mind. So they're all in sync, in unison, which it sounds like a good idea in theory, unless their goal is to harass and stalk a target, and that target is you or your friend or family, you know, or anybody that doesn't, you know, deserve it. Like, this is not good. You're going to have the whole hive. And trust me, when the whole community is involved, it is a hive swarming. Yes. Why? Why is this again? Why is somebody doing? Okay, well, because this is what it comes out to. We're human guinea pigs. Okay, non-consensual. We don't agree to be guinea pigs, which is the title of this book. Okay, that's what it's all about. We don't agree to be guinea pigs, but people with the money, they say you are going to be one. So that's what happens. So we're in there. We're in that power pyramid, right? The power hierarchy. We're in there. And we all have different positions too. You know, you got some people, different jobs, different careers. You might have some targets that are higher up, you know, lawyers or doctors or, you know, all kinds. And then you have people at the lower, middle, all levels, different religions. You could have a Christian person being targeted. You could have a, you know, Muslim person being targeted, a person, I don't know what the Asian religion is, but, you know, you guys get it. Like, there's no boundaries on this stalking and harassment. Okay, it comes out to this. This is who's harassed. Me and you and everyone we know when you are in an organized stalking program. So lots and lots and lots of people are involved in this. Yep. And again, with the tactics, they love to use this method, gossip, right? That's how they start that smear campaign. They start talking to people. Oh yeah, remember, because it's a hive mind. They've got people all over. They have them come out and talk to your neighbors. They have them talk to your family, your friends, your people at church, people at school, right? Your favorite teachers, your favorite instructors. They are, they're focused. And again, tactics, what they do is, destroying your property. They'll do things like this, flat tires, not just one a year, once in a while. They'll do it a lot. They're letting you know, so little damages to your vehicles and your homes and stuff like that. Okay. And then the smear campaign, that's also part of gossip. That's when they're trying to ruin your reputation. It's easier to target somebody once their name is smeared, right? Because then you begin to not like the person, right? What do they come? Somebody comes and tells you something about something. You like this person, you never had an issue with them. Oh yeah, they're pretty nice, pretty cool. And then they tell you something horrible, and you're like, oh. And then you gotta think, like, dang, I don't know if I like them like I did before. I didn't know they did all that. And then you act accordingly. Well, I don't know if I like you, right? Maybe they're right. So it's very effective. It's called a smear campaign. Like a campaign when the politicians campaign, vote for me and this and that, and they give you their reasons why and whatnot. And this is a smear campaign. So they're campaigning. So it's a series of lies and malicious gossip employed by narcissists, bullies, and manipulators with the intention of discrediting and destroying someone's character and reputation. Yeah, that's what this is all for. Destroy their character and reputation. Because it's harder to target somebody when they have a good character and reputation. People aren't going to want to do it. You want me to go do what to this person? Whoa, it's harder to do when they have a good reputation and good character, because they're nice. And as a human, normal humans, we don't want to hurt another nice person. But if we can throw it in there, they're not a nice person. They did this. They're a bad person. Well, then we just put a label on them. Oh, well, heck, I don't mind doing that to a bad. They did that? Okay, well, they're a bad person. Get it? They went from being a regular person to now they're a label, right? A bad person. And you can do more things to a bad person. That's what, and they know this. The PsyOps definitely knows that humans work like this. You got to have a reason, right, to do something. And especially if it's something, bad to somebody that you don't want to do. But if somebody gives you a reason, then you'll be more likely to pull it off, So smear campaign, very big tactic, very effective one too. So just be aware, okay? All right. What else were we going to talk about here? Oh, the roots of this program. Okay, remember I was telling you it is an extension of a mind control program. The actual name, okay, you remember mind control. Originally it was a CIA program. The main name was MK Ultra. MK for mind control because it came from Germany. That's why it's the German K instead of the English C. So after World War II was over, some of the people that were working over there on mind control came over here, and then they continued working on it because they had all their research, from over there doing all the experimentation, on consensual guinea pigs, with the POWs. And so then they started it here, and they named it MK Ultra, mind control. That was in 1953, and that was supposedly shut down sometime in the 70s because of the, when people started exposing it, victims and whatnot. Excuse me. But it rumored to still exist, which, why would it not? But now it's called this. Instead of MK Ultra, it's called Project Monarch. And the idea, again, with mind control, trauma-based conditioning, is that once you go through all this trauma, hurting, sexual assault, sensory deprivation, overstimulation, abuse, physical abuse, sexual, verbal abuse, just hurting you, traumatizing you. The goal of this program is that, well, once you're traumatized, you're a caterpillar in the cocoon, but then you'll break free from the cocoon one day and you'll be, ta-da, a butterfly, Project Monarch, butterfly flying away. But it's not. You're not a butterfly flying away. You're a mind control slave at that point. So that is the, it's called mind control. I mean, well, this one's called, at least they didn't put this one in the title. That's probably why. They're trying to fool us now. Okay, it's not mind control anymore. You're going to be a monarch. Okay, you're going to be a little butterfly and fly away into the sunset. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, it's a mind control. It's still a mind control based program. Okay, but let's just say it what it is. You know, but monarch sounds cool. But just know that that's what it's for. So, anyways, that was the original. That's the name of the original program. Now, other programs are umbrellaed underneath them. And remember, the mind control, that's run by the Alphabet Agency. I already said who. I'm not going to say it again. You heard me. I don't want to say it again. Don't make me. Don't make me. You already know. But this one, with the organized stalking, this has its roots in a program called COINTELPRO. Okay, COINTELPRO is a acronym of sorts. It stands for Counterintelligence and then, you know, program. Counterintelligence. So, you know, you're running counterintelligence on people, you know, spying on them and whatnot. It's run by the FBI. Okay, COINTELPRO, Counterintelligence Program. And the history of that is that it, you know, it has its roots in an FBI operation. And yeah, so what they do is they run counterintelligence against a deemed target. So at any point, you know, if you're a guinea pig, you can become a target, you know, enemy of the state type of stuff. And so then what that means is intelligence means anything from running espionage, spying, to psyops, messing with your brain, right? Crazy making stuff, all that list we went over, harassment, etc. So the history of COINTELPRO is that it officially ran from 1956 to 1971. And how they brought down operations, their job was to bring down organizations and people from within, right? That's this whole program. So COINTELPRO was a secret until 1971 when an FBI field office was broken into and documents related to COINTELPRO were leaked to the press. Okay, so somebody found out about it, they broke in their office and got all their paperwork and exposed this program. All right. But yeah, so again, they were infiltrating organizations and people from within. So there were some famous ones like, oh goodness, who was victims of COINTELPRO? Like Black Panthers, I know, not to just name that one, but yeah, that. Who else was COINTELPRO? I think, who was that author? He ended up committing suicide over it. He was friends with somebody that they, you know, they deemed him a target. He was a famous author. Hemingway, maybe? I'm not good with that. I like to read, but I usually like to read nonfiction, and I don't know my literature history like that, but I think it might have been Hemingway. So yeah, he was part of it. And what they did was they did things like we talked about, public character assassination. You know, drag somebody's name through the mud, you know, as low as you can go. This person does this and that, and, you know, just, you know, mudsling, bring them down. Harassment through legal and financial institutions. You know, so that's things like, I mean, think of it. Like you're unable to, you got to get a loan, and maybe they won't give it to you. That's harassing you financially, right? So then you can't do things like buy a car or buy a home. What else? Constant surveillance, you know, that's traumatizing, trauma-based conditioning, illegal breaking and entering, psychological operations, like we were talking about, just keep messing with somebody's mind, you know, harassing them, making them feel intimidated, stalking them, vandalism, and actual assaults, like when it turns into sexual assault, okay? So many times, harassment is, it can be done through the manipulation of employers. You know, they can get employers in on it because they know how important our jobs are, right? You can't eat if you don't work. You can't pay your bills. I mean, that's why this is very important. It's organized stalking. And how are they able to do this? How can they get to your employers? Well, remember the pyramid. You know, this is not, again, these people have deep pockets. Sure, they can get to your employer. They might be your employer. They might be friends with your employer. Them and your employer might go to business luncheons together, you know, retreats, the company picnics, you know, or maybe the you know, when businesses get together and do their, you know, their whatever, Fortune 500 stuff. So these people, you know, they're in the pyramid. The ones at the top are obviously the ones funding it, you know, because somebody at the bottom, your employer's not going to listen to them. Your little cousin comes and tries, no, get out of here. Although that can be done too, but that wouldn't be as organized. Organized means money to fund it, usually. So yeah, they'll also manipulate landlords. to assist in victimizing the target. Yeah, oh yeah, they'll get your landlord in on it. Again, this program is called managed aggression. So they're managing the aggression, I guess, meaning they're not full out killing you. They're just being aggressive toward you, but in a very purposeful manner. Usually aggression is a response to something, right? You get angry and you're like, ah, that's just a response. But this is actually purposely being aggressive, right? Like, I'm particularly going to go up to this person and particularly be aggressive to them. Not good. One interesting thing about this COINTELPRO before we leave off is that there's a thing when they reviewed it. It's called church committee hearings. Chapter 6 talks about the history on that with solid examples, more than I've given. You can go into the book. It goes into detail on the reports of the investigations on COINTELPRO, chaired by Senator Frank Church. So they called it the church committee hearings. I guess that was a Senator Frank Church. The final report essentially found the FBI guilty of vigilante operations aimed squarely at preventing the first exercise of the First Amendment rights of speech and association. So they were found guilty of violating the First Amendment, rights to speech and association, meaning you should be able to say and hang around with whom you want, whom you deem appropriate. But they were preventing that, the exercise of it. So along with unsavory and victim tactics have been employed, including anonymous attempts to break up marriages, disrupt meetings, estrange persons from their professions, and provoke target groups into rivalries that might result in deaths. I mean, do you get what this is saying, guys, right? This is saying that these people, perps, are infiltrating groups and doing all these things, breaking up marriages, disrupting meetings, estranging people from their professions, getting them fired and stuff, and getting their license, provoking target groups into rivalries that might result in deaths. Like, that's serious stuff, making people fight to the point of death. So these are the exact same tactics being used in organized stalking today. I know that for sure, because they will definitely target relationships. Because they like you better when you're single, you're an easier target. Okay, so if you have a marriage and you begin to be targeted, that is one of the things they will work on, is breaking it up. Okay, even if you're dating somebody, even if you've gone on one date, that's one too many. If you're a target, they will move in, So it's very serious. It's very serious. I mean, the FBI was found guilty of it, and this tactic still continued today, So it's good to be aware. What can we do? The first step is being aware. Again, that's why I'm doing this video. And we're almost at an hour and a half. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. I just want to say, as a side note, it would appear that private investigation agencies can be perpetrators of this crime. They are oftentimes hired out to do contracts, by the top parts of the pyramid. Not the very top always, but, somewhere in there. They're hired out to do contracts on random people that are chosen to be targeted. Okay, so in the book, Mr. Hall speaks of being targeted by a private investigation company run by an ex-FBI agent. Okay, according to the book, many former FBI agents turn to private investigative work after leaving the agencies, and so then they can network with each other from state to state. Makes sense, right? They're FBI people. So yeah, this crime can and has ruined careers and lives. The average person is up against a lot. You have all these people in the pyramid on you. The hive comes. Okay, so the way to work around it, though, like I said, is to first talk about it at least and be aware on a community level, and then attempt to get the legislation made that will protect us from this crime. So, I just want to go over one more thing, actually. We were going to talk about, I want to talk about, before we leave off, issues with getting help for stalking and organized stalking. So obviously by what we've covered, you realize that this is a big issue. Okay, and this is an extension, again, of guinea pigs, using people as guinea pigs, non-consensual testing, human testing on people. So it's a big issue. It's been going on for a long time. And we talked about the tactics of it. Now, how can you get help if you're a victim of organized stalking? Because it's not just regular stalking, it's organized stalking, which means that if you go and report it, well, what happens? Okay, let's talk about it. This book points out that there's many issues with getting help for stalking and organized stalking. And some of them are, for one, being disregarded or dismissed, because of the unawareness and the severity of this threat, or they're not aware maybe how to combat it, or worse, you can be labeled as having mental health problems, because the program is so crazy the way that it's run. Remember, it's a psychological operations. It's psyops. It's crazy making. It's supposed to make you crazy acting, right? Well, you got to do crazy things to bring the crazy out, like those tactics we talked about, following somebody around 24/7, loitering around their homes and their businesses, breaking into their home, but not stealing things, just moving things, or, vandalizing, harassing the victim with profanity or vulgar, gestures in public places. Of course, they're not going to say this. It's going to be covert, so only you know it. Say something like napkins, or, say pens is your trigger. Say pens for whatever bothers you. So then you'd have a perp, and they know that because, remember, they're going to keep, track of you, your likes and dislikes, because you got to know what somebody dislikes in order to target them on it, or they'll condition you to be sensitive to it. So then what they'll do is they know you're triggered, you're sensitized to pens. Okay, my pen's got my ponytail holder on there, but okay, so pens. So then what your perp will do, you can be out with family or friends or something, they don't know, because they're not sensitized to it, but you are. They'll take this pen, a perp will, and start like, so and it's crazy because you'll know it's for you. Of course, they want you to know. They're making signs with it. But your friend, they don't know. Or maybe you're out with your husband, right? If you're married. And now, the pen is up, so you're trying to ignore it. You're like, oh my goodness, my perps are here. I can't even enjoy a meal. And your husband, if he's not sensitized to it, he's, what's the problem, honey? Well, nothing. That darn guy, and then you just break, it's so frustrating because maybe that's the 100th thing that happened, for that day. So then you start, that guy with that pen is really upsetting me. Oh, really, honey? It's just a pen. Really? What's wrong with the pen? It's kind of annoying, but, but actually it's a trigger and it's supposed to make you act crazy because it's psyops, psychological operations. So, so it's crazy, but if you don't know about it, that's what they're banking on. They're banking on that it sounds crazy. So when you go to report it to your friends or family, oh my goodness, you're, a little sensitive, and then what does that do? Does that hurt more? Oh, of course it does, because now they're dismissing you. What do you mean sensitive? This person is harassing me 100 times a day. They're showing me freaking pens, and I'm just sick of it. Now, this is where it's important to have the knowledge on this. You need to know this exists. Because that should be out of the equation now. You shouldn't be able to say that that's not happening. Yeah, that does happen. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but if you look at the things done by people at this very, on these top of these pyramids, specifically like Luciferian worshiping elite, I mean, there's some really bizarre and depraved things that they do, all in the name of, their religion. Okay, so why ask why? Ask why not. I don't know why people want to make, but that's not the point. The point is that they're doing it. So how do we make people aware? Okay, maybe friends and family and your husband, as long as you pick the right one, they should be able to get it, right? And your friends and family, keep the ones around you who are understanding it. Because it really does make sense once you explain it. But now, what about going to the police, right? Okay, if you're going to go to law enforcement. Now, they have to be aware of how this works, right? Because, and they might, like we said, they might not understand it, right? That it's so severe. Because, maybe it's hard for them to understand. Like the whole community is, in on this? Yes. A portion of it is organized stalking. These people have big pockets. And then they also might say, they're unaware. Maybe they don't know how to stop it. Maybe you go in and they believe you. You're right. You know what? Yeah, we've had a couple of incidences like this. So, but that's a better answer. That's a better point to be at. At least they believe you, and then they don't know how to fix it. But together, we can all find out a way to fix it, right? And then rather than maybe being labeled as having a mental health issue, well, this sounds a little far-fetched. Are you sure all these people are? Well, yes, it's organized stalking. It's counterintelligence program. Okay, it's done, and it's done on citizens. Of course it is. It's it's been done for years, and it always has been done. It's just not talked about, obviously, because the people who do it You know, I don't think they want the light shown. You know, the more you can keep it a secret, the more you can go with that saying people are crazy when they report it. So my job in making these videos is to get us past that point. Me and the other people that have come before me. You know, let's get past the point where we're thinking it doesn't happen. It happens. We don't like that it happens. It's not good, but it happens. Come on, there's organizations that stalk people. There's organizations that run non-consensual experiments on people. We know this, you know, because there's proof of it, isn't it? Right? Because why? A lot of it is for training, research, and development, all in the name of, you know, we're researching. What? Mind control, right? I mean, is there examples? Have they done this before? I mean, is this far-fetched? Well, no, I got 13 examples right here. 1919 to 1922, testicular transplant experimentation on 500 prisoners at San Quentin. You know, healthy prisoners, male. Testicular transplants. I don't have, you know, imagine ladies having breast transplants. Not implants, not, you know, removed for, you know, cancer. Transplant. Where are you transplanting them to? Healthy breasts. What are you doing? Healthy testicles. Where were they transplanting them to? Who knows? But it was done, non-consensually. What else? You know, you got the Tuskegee experiment from 1932 to 1972. You know, testing syphilis bacteria. You got, what else? You know, 1950, Dr. Joseph Stokes from University of Pennsylvania deliberately infected 200 female prisoners with viral hepatitis. You know, what else? 1950 to 1972, mentally disabled children at Willowbrook School in New York were deliberately infected with hepatitis in attempt to find a vaccine. I mean, you know, and there's other ones. Like I said, these are just 13. There's much more examples. So, I mean, is there non-consensual testing done? Oh, yeah, there is. There is non-consensual testing done. Sure. There always has been. You know, guinea pigs. So if they have no problem with using us as guinea pigs, then we should have no problem talking about it. That's how, you know, what are we going to be embarrassed or just, you know, that doesn't happen? Yes, it happens. Is it too scary? I know the little cognitive dissonance sets in with the human brain sometimes where if something is so intense, we don't really want to acknowledge it. But, you know, I mean, this is for safety. We're heading into a new year here. So new guinea pigs, we got to be on the ball. You know, half the problem is acknowledging the problem, right? So again, what are they after? This. Mind control. That's right. That's why organized stalking exists. It's a form of behavioral modification, you know, choosing someone deemed a target and having everybody kind of gang up on them. It's old-fashioned bullying, but this is like bullying on steroids. This is super bullying that can result in deaths and suicides and loss of quality of life, loss of jobs, relationships, you know, big stuff. Not that even when you're younger, you know, now you hear about even kids in school sometimes getting bullied so bad to where they commit, you know, I mean, so it exists, okay? Yeah. Mind control. That's the ultimate goal. Why? Why do they want mind control? Well, why ask why, huh? I mean, because you're easier to control when you're, you know, your mind is controlled. I don't like to do that, but you understand, like a puppet. Nobody wants to be a puppet, okay? So, let's see, we're going to talk about, yeah, issues with getting help. So we talked about what could stand in the way of that. Police departments maybe not being aware or disregarding and misdiagnosing mental health stuff. So another thing too, the local police might be under-informed about the use of advanced technology. See, this is a big issue in committing crimes on all levels, you know, because technology is advanced now. We are in the 21st century. We're about to be in 2019, you know, specifically in stalking crimes. It's a perfect weapon, you know, advanced technology. You can track a person with that, a target. You can surveillance them and you can follow them. You know, these computers. Technically, somebody could have it, you know, have it remote access. So boom, they got access to you, right? If you leave your computer open, many people do. Your phones, those are tracking devices, of course, if they can be used for tracking devices and surveillance, you know. So, but there's, on a higher level, you know, that's just the simple stuff. On a higher level, there's actually psychotronic weapons that can affect the way you think and behave, you know, by pulsing on certain frequencies on certain parts of your brain, okay? That can make you, like I said, affect your behavior. to the point where you'll be doing things that you won't know, or even in some cases remember. They have the ability to do that, and even remotely. Okay, which means that they don't have to be in the same room as you. Remember one of my videos, if you go back and look on it, it was on SSS, silent subliminal sound. That's where somebody sends a voice into your subconscious. Your brain will hear it as just a regular tone, like boo, but your subconscious will actually hear the hidden message in the frequencies, because you know, they just manipulate the frequencies like that, where it can only be heard by your subconscious and not your conscious. You know, so that is a way to, you know, that's a psychotronic weapon, because God knows what is a person, you know, what is that message going into your subconscious? Well, you'll never know, because it's hidden in the frequencies, unless you have a machine that can decode that, which of course it exists. But you know, you have to get a hold of that. But that is an example. What else? Same thing with the EMF waves. You know, there's such a thing when your brain goes into theta waves. That is very vulnerable, and it can almost put you into a sleep state, a forced sleep state. You know, I've heard that they use it for surgeries, you know, so that you don't wake up, which is great for surgeries. Bad for if somebody's trying to sexually assault you and they want you to be knocked out and not able to wake up. And what else? And there's even things I've heard like nanotechnology, which actually operates off of your DNA. So they can send, you know, like maybe medicine or something like that, you know, into, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Even it's hard to talk about and it's hard to understand all of it, but these type of things exist. With the nanotechnology, I heard even with like a little chip, and I know this from working in the medical field, you can get it implanted and it can release medication into you. Okay, well, what if the medication it's releasing is a date rape drug or a heavy duty sedative? Okay, and you don't know. And all of a sudden you're tired because, you know, these are the examples of, you know, advanced technology. So just, we need to do more research on them as a society and understand what the capabilities are now. Because if we're in our minds thinking that we're only in the in 2010 as far as technology, we're not there anymore. We're 2019. We are able to do a lot of things. You know, we need to be aware of that. So that way, when we're being attacked by these direct energy psychotronic weapons, you know, in cases like organized stalking, we can go report it and we'll be believed. Because why not? It's a fact, you know, but we're at that funny stage where we're having to prove that the truth is the truth, but we're getting closer, you know, and I think, you know, by the grace of God, this stuff is being made, you know, public knowledge. And that's to our benefit, because now that you know it, now you can kind of protect yourself. Now that you know these things exist, as scary as they are, you know, you can protect yourself. So our next step is, and the more we talk about it, people in law enforcement, they're in the know too. They'll hear, you know, they go to the stores, they go online, they go, you know, they got their ears to the ground. So as long as we as a community talk about it, they're going to hear it too. The police will hear, you know, the good ones. The police will hear. The lawyers will hear. The judges will hear. You know, God himself hears. So this is important. All right. I digress. But yeah, organized stalking, those can be some barriers, and that's how we can get past that, is to keep doing your research, you know, be smart about it, and keep researching, okay, and sharing that research, and make sure, you know, get a couple of sources when you research, you know, because I know it can be tempting sometimes. You hear something really cool and you're like, oh, did you know? And you know, I do that sometimes, but I really have to make sure. That's why I sit and buckle down, especially for this, and I make sure I do my research, you know. And we live in such a time where it's actually pretty easy to do, just a click of a button. But just, you know, do your research, find out for yourself, and then understand it, and then you can explain it to others. You don't have to get real deep into it. A lot of it start at frequencies. That's how a lot of this psychotronic weapons are being done, with using the frequencies, because the human brain operates off of frequencies. So does the human body, and so does the environment. So it's very easy to manipulate them and you know, do mind control on people. So let's see what else. This video is running long, sorry, but it's good, it's interesting. I don't think I could have shortened it at all. So psychiatry, oh yes, okay, so psychiatry. So what happens, complaints about organized stalking to law enforcement in the past often went ignored, or In worst case scenario, the victim was referred to a mental health professional, because remember, this is a crazy program. They're doing crazy things. They're following you. They're doing this. They're doing that. They're making noise. You're acting, So that's the worst case thing, right? Okay, so what happens? Well, the psychiatric community on the working ranks, sometimes they are not aware of this technology either. And again, that's part of their tactic, right? Is to make us where we're unaware. So that way when you talk about it, it sounds kind of unbelievable, right? Kind of ludicrous, kind of crazy. Like, oh, really? Are you sure they can do all that? Yes, they can. They can. It just takes a little research to find it out what, the technology is capable of nowadays. It's advanced, highly advanced. We are very close on the brink of great things. For good or for bad. If it's if we use it for good, it's going to be great. If we use it for, bad, many atrocities can be done with this. So it's powerful. So yeah, so what happens is the psychiatric community as well, they need to be informed on how this technology, is advancing and how it's being used criminally. Okay. So because what could happen was they could incorrectly diagnose someone complaining of organized stalking, as being delusional, or even having like schizophrenia, like what you're hearing voices, because there is a apparatus that does allow voices to be sent in through microwaves. That's not the SSS though. The SSS the voice goes to your subconscious, so you'll never hear it actually. Your subconscious will hear it and respond and obey. Microwave actually that sends the actual voice in. Okay. So, and this has been used on people, obviously non-consensual guinea pigs. And, they probably, you could be diagnosed with schizophrenia. I'm hearing well, yeah, you are hearing voices because somebody's sending them to you. So, not that happens oftentimes in organized stalking, but, it's just saying that ability exists, and, the following, the tracking, those things can be easily done. So psychiatrists on the lower ranks, they probably, working ranks, they need to be aware of this. And I say working ranks because they're the ones that would see the patients first time, at the I can't think of the word, on the front line. They'll be the first ones to talk to the patients or the victims. So they need to maybe be more aware of this. And again, how can we do that? Little old us. We're not psychiatrists. We're not doctors. We're not lawyers, many of us. Well, we have mouths. We're still smart people. We can still do research. We live in the age where we have access to a computer, right? It used to be the age where information was only for, the people that could afford it, right? Even till nowadays, it's a little bit like that. You can't go to Marquette if you're just anybody, you can go to MATC, which is fine. MATC, the local community college, seemed great to me. So I'm just saying, in years past, even sometimes women couldn't go to schools, people of a certain income level. So the fact that we have this information at our fingertips, mostly everybody, that is good. That empowers us. So learn it, talk about it, share it, so that we're all empowered by it. So that people can no longer use, oh, I didn't know that was possible. Oh, sure it is. Sure it is. It's possible and it's happening. So yeah, and if it got to the point where that's been done in the past, that would doubly victimize somebody. That would, first time they'd be victimized with the actual crime of being stalked and harassed, and then the double crime would be not being believed and possibly being misdiagnosed. So we don't want that to happen. So this can be done again by simple unawareness, and that's relatively easy to fix just by talking about it and maybe doing things like this, making informational videos, maybe making pamphlets, or just talking about it. Learn it. It's an interesting subject. The brain is fascinating, and everything that can be done to it to modify behaviors and control it. It's fascinating. So research it. It's worth your time. You got a brain. You don't want nobody controlling it. So let's be on the same page with that. Also, too, there are psychiatrists, unfortunately, that would diagnose somebody, misdiagnose, for nefarious reasons. They know this, maybe they're in cahoots with somebody in the pyramid, right? So they know this technology exists. Sure they do. They're no dummies. They learn that they're a member of a brotherhood at a society, right? Or a sisterhood, right? A sorority. They know about that stuff. They're on the front line. They know. They're in the know. They know what's up. Then, maybe they're told, hey, we're running a, program. If people come in and complain to you, we kind of want it hush-hush, cover it up. Don't let them go all the way and report it. And you don't want to be in the court with this, da-da-da-da-da. Secret, right? And If you have that, if you end up being the poor soul that gets that psychiatrist, well, oh, boom. Now you just got something that, now they're using their psychiatry as a weapon. And that has been done many times in the past. So that is also a big issue, not just with organized stalking, but with many things. Psychiatry can be used as a weapon. They call that black psychiatry. I don't know if I like that term too much, maybe dark psychiatry, but abusive psychiatry. Okay, because remember, the word psyche is the soul, right? Greek for soul. So they're a soul doctor. Okay, supposed to heal the soul, not misdiagnose people and use it for nefarious purposes. But there's corruption at all levels. It happens. If it can happen, it'll happen. But just be aware of that. Okay, so that can be some of the barriers, for victims of organized stalking. One way to combat that is because this problem has become so prevalent. Because they're testing, they're doing more training, research, and development. And that's, like I said, 2019. This is the first quarter. January is the first quarter. That means more money is being sent out for contracts. For what? For guinea pigs. For what? For research, training, and training, research, and development. For what? For mind control technology, specifically. So you could, just because you're not a target today, could be tomorrow. You're going to want to know this info. That's why I said it's free. It's free and it benefits you. Spending this time only benefits you. I thank you. It's been fun. We're almost done here. I just want to say, if anybody's going through this, or if you find yourself going through this in the future, there's a lot of websites and a lot of help. One website is gangstalkingworld.com. So if you suspect you have become a victim of this cowardly crime, I would check that out. Okay. There's also a human rights organization called Freedom from Covert Harassment and Surveillance. They found that random groups of people are being chosen with an emphasis on women and sexually assaulting them. Not that men, again, are not part of this, because they are. Just an emphasis on women. And they're sexually assaulting them using date rape drugs such as Rohypnol or GHB. Okay, common date rape drugs. They make it so you lose your memory because the drugs produce an amnesic effect, working on the chemical part of the brain that stores thoughts into memories, particularly the chemical acetylcholine. That's very important for memories. Otherwise, your thoughts, without being stored, are just thoughts. They're floating up there. Here they are, there they go. They have to be stored. Acetylcholine is a chemical that helps to store them. So those drugs work on stopping the formation of acetylcholine. So this is a popular thing, apparently. Sexually assaulting people against their will. Yeah, we talked about the FBI counterintelligence program. So what else? Just set this here. Talked about who's doing it, the perps. The goal to torture you or kill you, kill your soul. Right? Soft kill, no touch torture. They don't want to flat out kill you because that'd be too obvious. You got too many people popping up dead. The population's going to freak out, We don't take kindly to that. Because then we kind of know that we're next, right? Like, wait a second. They were doing what to him or her? And then oh no. Right? They don't want that. It's all covert. Hush, hush. Oh yeah, this person, died suddenly, weird death. Da-da-da. Yeah, right. Okay. This is life. It's good to know about it, though. All right, so we talked about trauma-based conditioning for targets and perps. Witnessed abuse, which is when somebody's targeted and then people are made to perpetrate against them. All the perps aren't always sociopaths. Sometimes they're just people that get caught up in this, like I said, by joining societies and not fully realizing. They could be, part of their profession. They didn't realize they were going to have to do this, join some type of brotherhood or sisterhood. It could be people who were caught for crimes, not horrible crimes, and just crimes, and maybe didn't want to spend time incarcerated, so they took the deal, to be a perp for a limited time, not realizing, but maybe they don't want to be doing this, like they don't want to hurt people, they just didn't want to go to it. The rabbit hole runs deep. So with those kind of perps, the ones that have a conscience, it hurts them to hurt other people, and when they have to hurt a target, it hurts both, so that's common in certain ritual abuse, with the cults that I mentioned. They do things like that purposely because that's trauma, right? Make someone hurt another person. Make somebody watch someone hurt another person, right? It hurts to even just watch abuse, right? You ever watch something on TV and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't even want to watch that. That's what this program does, right? Because you're stalking and harassing and basically torturing a targeted person, another human being. Which is why they use the smear campaign so heavily too, because they figure they can cut down on perps feeling bad for people as long as they smear campaign the targeted person, you know, and let everybody know how much of a SOB they are. Then, oh, well, they're an SOB, well, forget it. Yeah, we can do this. It's harder to do when you actually know the person and, you know, you relate to them and you see them as a decent human being. You're not going to want to hurt them. So, yeah, and then sexual targeting and psychological operations, right? Doing that crazy making stuff, you know, vandalizing, you know, flattening your tires, honking the horn at all times, being loud, following you, leaving when you leave every single time, arriving when you arrive every single time. Yeah, and then getting help and the barriers to getting help. We talked about that. I think we covered it all. So I'm going to call that a day. We'll call that a day. We'll call that a day because this was a lot of work. I hope you guys get it. I tried to make it. Oh, wow. This is a 2-hour one. Okay. What is, thank you. Happy New Year. Okay. What is the goal in this video? This is the goal. We want to stop gang stalking. That's also called organized stalking. Stop electronic harassment and stop the torture, right? How do we do that? We're just little old us. Well, we do it by talking about it and spending time and watching videos like this. If you stuck through this video, thank you. And if for future reference, if you notice on YouTube in the right-hand corner, they have the option that says watch later, save and watch later. And sometimes if I see a video's long, like I'll look at the time right away, you know, and then I'll watch it a little bit, see if it catches my attention or whatnot, or if it's valuable information, which mine usually are. I try. Mine are good. I got good info in here. But I understand everybody don't just have 2 hours of time to block out. So sometimes I'll watch mine in increments. I'll like, you know, save it to watch later. And then when you're done with it, you know, there's a little garbage icon and just click that and then you're done. Then you can break it up. Maybe watch a half an hour here, then go back and watch 15 minutes and then go back, you know, and just chunk it out like that. You know, get the information. All right, which is why I give the key points too at the beginning. So if you can kind of follow along that way. But yeah, that was it. That was chapter 6 of the book Guinea Pigs by Dr. John Hall. And that was a chapter all about organized stalking. The phenomenon of organized stalking. Who's doing it? As we found out, you know, we talked about the power pyramid, what effects, what are their tactics, you know, and what happened, how we can get help for it, you know, what's their goal, to torture and cause problems, trauma conditioning, and how we can combat this problem, right? Because more technology, more guinea pigs, more people being, you know, stalked and harassed in an organized fashion. What's one of our defenses? Talk about it. Talk about it, learn about it, you know, and then let's get the conversation. Keep it going. Because this exists. This is happening. So, keep doing your research. Yeah, keep doing it, guys. Keep doing it. Stay smart. I know you are. I always say that because I believe it, you know. You guys are smart, you know. And God loves us, right? The true God. Even though sometimes it's hard to, when we're going through a lot of stress, it's hard to, you know, remember that He's still there. But He is. Obviously, He is. There's a little scripture. I was thinking about this one today. Fear not, for I am with you. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. This is Isaiah 41:10. So fear not, for I am with you. He is. Even when we don't feel like it. And then another one, too, with all this crazy stuff, being stalked and whatnot. We have to remember that, right? This is in Romans 8:31. As long as you know that God is for you, it doesn't matter who is against you. Okay? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they're at the top of the pyramid or if they're at the bottom, whoever they are. You know, they put on their pants leg one at a time. We respect people. But at the same time, you know, it doesn't matter who is against us as long as God is for us. He calls the final shots, right? Good. So we're all done with that. I want to say thank you. Thanks for joining us. For me. Thanks for joining me. It was really nice. So glad to see you guys again. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoy your New Year's. You know, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, look forward to my next coming up video where it's gonna be the last video. We're gonna summarize chapter 8, and that one is specifically on targeted individuals. That is actually when you're a victim of the organized stalking program and you become targeted, and they go full force in on you, and your life can go in a turmoil, turn upside down. We'll talk about that and how you can still, what it all entails and how you can still live and be productive and healthy, even though the odds are against you that you don't. But let's talk about it. That's the next one, and then that'll be the last one. Okay, the book has so much. I think you should check it out. Again, it's Guinea Pigs by Dr. John Hall, and it's $7.99 on Kindle. And it's about $10 to $20 if you order it on Amazon. So a hard copy, you used or new. So definitely do it. It's an easy read too. It's about 4 hours in total. So you could probably get that done, and depending on how much time you have to devote to it, you could get it done in a week or a month. Take it nice and simple, and it's very valuable info. Very. So yeah, that was it. I hope you guys have a good night. I will be back with you tomorrow or later tonight. I don't know if I'm gonna. We'll see. We'll see. But thank you. Have a good rest of your evening, and be safe out there, huh? Be safe. God loves you. Do your research. Be smart. Okay? Bye.